This is the future of flock cameras. You're absolutely going to get charged with a crime that you did not commit.
Flock cameras, they're making Americans guilty until proven innocent. What do you want? Safety or freedom?
Right now, officials in Illinois are sounding the alarm, saying deputies here in Texas misused their license plate cameras.
Last week, we received disturbing news that police in Texas illegally accessed data from automatic license plate readers used throughout Illinois. They did so to track down a woman regarding an abortion care-related matter.
Okay, now for those of you who may be pro-life, okay, look at it from a Second Amendment standpoint. Here in Maryland, we are prohibited from exercising our full Second Amendment rights. We can't purchase certain size rifle magazines, but not in the state. We can cross state lines and do that. So let's say a Marylander drives into Pennsylvania to purchase a standard size rifle magazine, and law enforcement uses these cameras to track that individual. Okay, so I want you to see it from both sides of the political spectrum so that we can get to a place where we see how abhorrent this type of big brother attitude is.
It's leading to changes within the company that makes these devices, and this discovery could have impacts on privacy nationwide. Fox SA's Jordan Elder has the story.
These devices can scan thousands of license plates every minute, usually for things like solving motor vehicle theft, crimes, or missing persons cases. Now, police departments across the nation can use each other's license plate readers, but they have to give a reason. And after this latest incident, experts say those reasons are going to become a lot more important. Illinois leaders say a sheriff's office near Dallas tapped into more than 83,000 license plate readers nationwide, looking for a woman they say had a self-administered abortion in Texas. The Johnson County Sheriff told an independent outlet that this was a safety issue and the woman was being searched for as a missing person, not as a suspect of a crime.
These are people that have committed what in some states is considered to be an immoral act, and in other states it is considered to be an illegal act.
The sheriff's office found her, but the woman was never charged. Criminologist Alex Del Carmen says this raises big questions about surveillance and politics.
The problem here is that if they went for an abortion-related case, they will go for absolutely anything.
I agree with that. Now, listen again. Let's examine this clinically. You can be pro-life or pro-choice. However, we must look at the facts. When the Supreme Court gave the abortion issue back to the states, some states initially said that they would prosecute women even if they went to a state that where abortion was legal. Okay? That is bullshit. And I'm pro-life. But let me tell you why that's bullshit. Because I can go to a state that has, let's say, a 75 mile per hour speed limit, travel on their roads. Okay. Now, in many cases here in Maryland, we have a 65 mile per hour speed limit. You can't prosecute me for endeavoring in something that is absolutely legal in another state, although the state where I reside in prohibits that. You cannot do that. So this raises that kind of question. And listen, this needs to be regulated. Okay, that's number one. And number two, I would implore law enforcement, do not abdicate your good judgment to the machine. We're going to see a police officer do that in a minute.
And that is what worries me, right? Which is, what is it going to be tomorrow?
Illinois already banned out-of-state police from using their license plate readers to target people over abortion or immigration status. We're told one city near Chicago, though, still had over 200 immigration-related searches in the first few months of this year.
This is clearly a case where technology is ahead of the law, and every law in every state is different.
So how can you make sure your privacy is protected? Del Carmen says a lot of that responsibility is on lawmakers.
Right. What we've got to do is it's okay to hire more police, okay? They try to trick you into believing that speed cameras and red light cameras are about safety. They're not. They're about revenue. Otherwise, hell, we did fine with stationing a police officer around different intersections periodically to slow folk down. This is technology run amok. Now, let me show you a police officer who has abdicated his good judgment, to the machine. And now at the end of the day, he's looking real crazy. The machine, we can just reprogram it. It suffers no consequences. The bigwigs that own the company, they don't have any issues. But this police officer has opened himself up and his department to liability.
This is the future of flock cameras. You're absolutely going to get charged with a crime that you did not commit.
Cameras everywhere in that town. You can't get a breath of fresh air in or out without us knowing.
Chrisana Elzer learned the power of flock firsthand.
You were in town.
Wait a minute. Do you hear him say you can't get a breath of fresh air without us knowing? What the hell is this? The Soviet Union? Who the hell is he? A KGB apparatchik?
From 11:52 until 12:09. Exactly. Like I said, nothing gets in or out of the town without us knowing.
I'm so glad that she has this on her Ring camera. He needs to be pilloried for this. And I hope that he does face some sort of civil action, because it's like when you get in your car and GPS, you just abdicate your good sense to GPS. You know where you're going, at least for the first 5 miles, but whatever the hell GPS tells you to do, you do it. You are now a slave to the machine. That's this police officer.
Colorado.
Take note of what he said there. Nothing gets in or out of the town without them knowing. Your every movement is being tracked.
Police officers showed up at her door holding flock snapshots of her truck.
And here's when you left. At 12:09, that's when you left town. To stop at Ridge Trail.
See what he's doing? So we have a presumption of innocence in this country, all right? He's forcing her to prove she's innocent. If a police officer ever approaches you, the best thing to do is remain silent, all right? Most people, especially innocent people, they want to explain it away, right? You've got AI that's marched him out to this house via this flock camera and ultimately making a fool of himself. But this woman is incredulous because she's like, I know that's not me.
And take a package. Well, there's no shushing. I don't need to be.
I need to know where this is.
The first thing he pulled out
The cop gets an attitude with her.
on the body cam is that flock picture, the clear photograph of your car.
But here's your vehicle in the neighborhood many, many times, apparently casing houses, because you just can't drive through for work or visit other businesses. You can only be casing houses.
That's all it's going to take. You're going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're just going to assume that it was you that did it. Now imagine if it was a really bad crime.
It is her. It is 100%. It is locked in. There is zero doubt. I wouldn't have come here unless I was 100% sure. 100%. It is certain. It is on video. You're obviously welcome to go to court.
Chrisana was charged with stealing a package, but it wasn't her. The
Doesn't
porch
even look
pirate
like her.
was somebody else. Multiple times you tried to show him your video evidence. He didn't want to see it.
Even when I called him back, he said, that's not my job.
You looked at a time of a crime. You saw my vehicle entering in the flock camera.
No, what I did was
Right at the
I did
entrance
an
of the bar.
investigation.
You called my wife a liar. You said this is fact.
I have video evidence.
I can't blame the husband.
The cop, you don't have video evidence of her doing anything. Why is this so difficult for him to understand? Again, because he's trusting the technology too much.
For being heated.
I don't know what you want me to say.
The charges were dropped after Chrisana spent weeks trying to get the police chief to look at her evidence. Time-stamped video from her.
I don't know what you want me to say.
The charges were dropped after Chrisana spent weeks trying to get the police chief to look at her evidence. time-stamped video from her truck, and a neighbor's doorbell camera showing she wasn't at the scene of the crime. What does it say about where we are that you feel you have to have more cameras than the police have in order to make sure you can prove yourself innocent?
It sounds like it flipped the script to your.
That's honestly a smart play. Make sure you have cameras in your car, on your car, just
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, so you saw that. You saw how the police officer is so convinced in the technology that investigative skills have gone right out of the door. Now, there is a group that has gotten together and they call themselves DFLOC. And they are absolutely against these cameras. And you will be blown away by what the CEO of the Flock camera company has to say about them. But first, let's watch this.
Intensifying across the country.
Your community is telling you that we don't want this.
I think we should completely remove them.
Here in Pasadena, California, residents and city leaders grapple with what to do about Flock, the leading manufacturer of automated license plate readers, or ALPRs. The cameras are installed at intersections and capture detailed vehicle data, which AI can analyze to identify people and alert authorities who say it's an important crime-fighting tool. But critics argue the cameras have created a mass surveillance network that's been tapped by federal immigration agencies like ICE to surveil protesters and monitor individuals.
All right, and I want to say at this point, look, if you're one of these people that, well, if you're not doing anything, you shouldn't have a problem with it. You're still saying that after the Patriot Act? All right? Is a vast surveillance state, Soviet Union on steroids, is that really what you want?
Over controversial Flock cameras in Troy is heating up.
It's playing out across the country, from Troy, New York, where the mayor declared an emergency to keep the cameras running after public pushback.
Get the Flock out of Troy. Thank you very much.
To Dayton, Ohio, where authorities took to covering its cameras with what looks like garbage bags after the city voted to suspend Flock. Across the country, at least 57 municipalities have canceled or let their contracts with Flock expire over the past year, with 15 more rejecting proposed Flock contracts due to community pushback, according to data compiled by NBC News.
So this is above and beyond the license plate detection, and you can see that it sort of follows him in the shot.
Yadi Yancey and Nick Rabb are co-founders of DFLOC Pasadena, a grassroots organization hoping to pressure Pasadena to cancel its existing contract with Flock. What's the biggest concern here?
I think the biggest concern is that if these technologies were used and the data got through to ICE and led to a raid, or was used by police for a wrongful conviction, then basically ruins someone's life.
There needs to be more community input and consensus and consent before deploying this and any other mass surveillance technology.
Imagine if that woman that we saw in the previous clip was not able to, she should have had to be able to, but imagine if she wasn't able to prove that that wasn't her. At least she would have had to spend a lot of money getting with a lawyer, a lot of time in court. At worst, she would have been convicted. Now, I don't think you spend time in prison for stealing stuff off of people's porches, but you, if convicted, you have a record now.
Flock activists requested public records reviewed by NBC News, finding that Pasadena's database was requested by various law enforcement agencies in the summer of 2025. In dozens of those requests, the reason given included FBI or ICE. One specific query on June 9th, 2025, confirmed by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, listed ICE protest as the reason for a search of 830 separate surveillance camera networks in Flock's system, including Pasadena's Flock cameras.
Okay, and let's focus on that word protest. This is America. We do have the right to peaceably protest. So the fact that they're requesting data on a protest, yeah, that gives me pause. Now, if you request data on assault at a protest or threats, at a protest. Okay, I can understand that. But just protest? Come on, guys. Look, do we want to live in America or not? So, do we want to live in a free country or not? So, you saw the founders of DFLOC, the organization that is working to abolish this surveillance, this apparatus enabling a surveillance state. This guy right here is the CEO of the Flock Camera Company. And check out what he says about DFLOC.
Everywhere and increased surveillance everywhere.
Yeah.
There's an organisation called DFLOC who are semi-well known now, I guess, if you're interested in this stuff, who take a fairly aggressive approach in terms of counting the number of cameras and having a Discord channel where they talk about potential, activities to move against Flock and stop it expanding. What do you think of that organisation and the
Now,
Discord
look,
channel?
we got to go over this again. Look at how he describes DFLOC. This is very important.
Semi-well known now, I guess, if you're interested in this stuff, who take a fairly aggressive approach in terms of counting the number of cameras and having a Discord channel where they talk about potential, activities to move against Flock and stop it expanding.
So counting the number of cameras, like you saw, they requested data, Freedom of Information Act data. They got a Discord channel where they talk about, legal actions to stop this proliferation of these cameras.
What do you think of that organisation and the way they go about their business?
Yeah. So, I think there's really two groups of activists. You've got organizations like the ACLU and the EFF who take an above-board approach to fight for their point of view. And thankfully, we live in a beautifully democratic, capitalistic country where we can fight in court. And I have a lot of respect for those groups because they have reasonable debates and we follow the law. And then, unfortunately, there's terroristic organizations like DFLOC, whose primary motivation is chaos. They are closer to Antifa than they are anything else.
He called them terrorists. Let's take a look at DFLOC's website. Okay. All right, here's DFLOC's website. Now, remember, okay, the government's definition of terrorism, it defines it as the unlawful use of violence and force against people or property to intimidate or coerce a government or civilian population. So requesting data, using the Freedom of Information Act, participating in town hall meetings, those things are classified now as terroristic activities by this guy, the CEO of the Flock Camera Company. All right? Now, sure, if there's someone out there that's doing something that is illegal, they have to be dealt with under the judicial system, right? But this is DFLOC's website. Welcome to DFLOC, an open source project mapping license plate readers. So what are you telling me? It's a terroristic activity to map an automated license plate reader? Okay. All right, let's look a little further because that's a hell of a charge he just made, right? About us. Welcome to DFLOC, your go-to resource for understanding and addressing the growing presence of automated license plate readers in our communities. Our mission is simple: to shine a light on the widespread use of automated license plate reader technology, raise awareness about the threats it poses to personal privacy and civil liberties, and empower the public to take action. Automated license plate readers are increasingly being deployed by law enforcement and private companies without the public's full understanding or consent, and they collect vast amounts of data on our movements, often without any real insight. I am not a criminal, okay? I have not been accused of any crime, all right? So why am I being surveilled? Yeah, I know I have no right to privacy in public, but where we're going with this, I've already shown you instances where people who were not charged with a crime were surveilled. Woman had the police come to her door and that guy was adamant. Okay? And by the skin of her teeth, she got out of that. Look, I'm not for these cameras. I am for law enforcement. I'm sure they do need technology, right? But unless we want to live in a vast gulag from sea to shining sea, we got to rethink this. And talk to your, if this is an issue, talk to your local legislators, okay? Talk to your congressional representation. This thing needs some heavy regulation.